Hello, everyone. Welcome to Craft Evolved. My name is Raymond Corrado Knudsen, and with me I have my super stable, non-alien partner, Jeff Gorsica.
Hello. Good to be here again.
There he is. We're all together. We're doing our thing on, what is it? Together Apart. Saying our words and doing our podcast things and just streaming it. And I hope you're enjoying yourself. I hope you're feeling nice wherever in the world you may be. Jeff, talk to me a little bit about what we're going to do today. What is going to happen? What's this all about?
Man. Yes. So I feel, we're 4 episodes in now. I feel like people are starting to get a vibe of like who we are and what we're about, how we think about acting.
Yeah.
So I figured it's a great time we could talk about kind of the best of certain aspects of the industry for both of us. So like, who's the best actor that's working right now, in our opinion?
Yep.
Best actress, who are just the most interesting to us. Director. And then I also put best movie the past 5 years.
Nice.
If we can brainstorm this. I know it's actually really hard to do.
That's a tall order. I'm excited about it. And what is it? You do, you pick the thing that scares the crap out of you and you do that thing, right?
That's what
it's all about. And then I like there's a bit of a little bit of I guess our history in here. I like the question that you posted that says the movies that made us, which is you and I. What has inspired us to become actors? What movies, kind of got us fired up and wanting to do this thing? So that's kind of cool. And I have a couple. I do have a couple. That's going to be nice. And then next off after that, who are we going to talk about today? Who do we have to talk about?
Raymond, I thought of this question because of our mutual love of this man's work, and it is Benicio Del Toro.
Yes.
And I just want to talk about him and why he's so good. Maybe some of our favorite roles.
Say that name again, though. Just say his name again.
That would be Benicio Del Toro.
Yes. That's who we have to talk about.
and maybe I'll just leave it at that. It's just a discussion on him. Like, let's not even complicate it. Like, we're just going to talk about
have a little,
just how much I appreciate.
Maybe he'll
his
show
work.
up. Maybe he'll come on the podcast, or the stream. If anybody knows Benicio Del Toro out there, he's more than welcome to drop by if he's up and about.
Oh yes.
All right. So just have him hit us up, and you can stop by at any given moment if you wish, Mr. Del Toro. And then after that, we have a we should make this a segment. I want to call it a segment. Method acting, myth busting 101. Should we call it that? Because the next question is,
I like that.
Is staying in character at all times a genius, or are you an asshole?
Oh yeah.
And that's a really relevant question, and I think we need to talk about it. And we need to, just perform some method acting, myth busting, and change I want to try to make the expression, "Oh, you're a method actor," not a thing anymore. All right.
Yeah. Method acting has such a reputation, and I think it's because of a lot of the antics that people will do on set and then claim method acting as their process.
Oh, yeah.
And again, we've come from like traditional method acting from a Strasberg background. So I mean, and everyone's method is different, but I just want to talk about what we think about, like, if you're in character all the time, if you're doing all this weird stuff, are you actually a genius, or are you just an asshole? Like, let's talk about that. I just want to
love to.
Yeah.
And once again,
talk about that.
Anybody, if Jared Leto, if you're watching, feel free to stop by the stream and have a chat. We're here.
Method actor, come on by.
Looking straight at you. If you're here, just stop by. I'd love to talk to you about it. And then, of course, what's the next one down the list here? It has to do with being sad.
Oh, dude, I thought of this one because when we were both at school, Bradley Cooper was kind enough to come by and do a talk for our class. And one thing he said was that he was finding he was doing his best work when his home life was the most stable. And right after he said that, he was like, "So I don't buy this. You got to be tortured to be a better actor." He's like, I do not buy that at all. And it stuck with me, and I wanted to talk to you about it and see if you agree with him, or maybe if some turmoil in your life can make a better performance. Just to pick your brain on that
for
one.
sure. And I agree. I don't think we ever properly debriefed after that, did we? So it's, 5 years later, we're in a good place to debrief.
Yeah.
And then finally, I think ending the evening with this man, with this human being,
it's the most positive human.
That's how we need to send everybody into the week. All right. We're going to talk about Keanu Reeves. Why being, and this is kind of the title, our nice clickbaity title. Why being nice is way more important often than your raw talent. How that works. And that's something that I'll say is true. It's a real legit thing.
Yeah. And I haven't done much casting, but I know that whenever I've thought about who do I want to work with, I think niceness comes to mind.
Yeah, somebody you would want to work with.
We'll talk about all that.
We will.
We'll talk about all that later.
But okay, let's get back. Let's go. Let's do this. Task A1. This is it.
Yes.
Are you ready, Jeff? Your best actor working today. You do yours, I'll do mine, and then we'll just go on down.
All right. So I want to first say that I haven't seen everything this guy has done, but the reason that I picked him was because in everything I've seen him in, he usually elevates the movie. And now I've started finding out, I'm like, what is he up to? I'm really curious about his upcoming projects. He just is always present, and he's always just connected. I got no other way to put it. Just a fantastic actor. So I chose Adam Driver. As who I find just an inspiration, and I'm going to say probably the best actor working right now. I think
that's a really good choice. I am envious of your choice.
Because I think that you could choose Robert De Niro, you could choose one of the greats, but I wanted to choose someone about our age who's relatively new to the industry and just seems to continuo's kill it.
Yeah. He does.
If it's comedy or drama, I'm so impressed every time.
That's the thing. He's done so many different things over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I remember the first thing I saw him in was this comedy with Daniel Radcliffe, and he played like his best friend, and he was just so funny. I couldn't stop. I couldn't wait till his character, who's the side character, would interact with the lead, who's Daniel Radcliffe. And that was my first exposure to Adam Driver.
Yeah.
And then from there, he's the best part of the Star Wars movies.
Well, this is true. He is.
Like, this is not a controversial topic. He's that good that he just elevates.
Yep.
And recently, Marriage Story, I got around to watching just over the summer.
Yeah.
And I was blown away. He's just excellent, really excellent, huge inspiration.
That's an amazing choice. That is an amazing choice. Let me just, I let this, because I'm like, why didn't I pick him? As soon as you said it, I was like, that's the guy. That's the dude.
Yeah, right.
Because the problem with my choice is that I looked, I'm looking at the Academy Award list, and I'm thinking, damn it, no, don't let him be. Oh, yes, of course, he won this year. Because I remember seeing Joaquin Phoenix and that's who I'm talking about first.
Dude.
I remember seeing him right in the Alien movie. Come on.
Oh, that would be Signs.
Signs.
Yes.
And thinking,
just rewatched it.
Out of all the in all the calmness, because that movie has all about the calmness, how he brings it to that. You know what I mean? How a lot of his fellow actors will be in it and out of it. In my opinion, I mean, it's a cool movie. I like the movie and everything, but I remember him just being in it throughout the whole thing. He to me, he carried it a lot. And to carry a movie like that, to me, was cool. And then, of course, Walk the Line, the work he did with Johnny.
Reese Witherspoon. With the character.
With the work he did with Reese Witherspoon as well, but also just the work he did on Johnny Cash and making it a character that's worthy of this, like, I feel like he could wear his shoes worthy, like, how Bradley did all that work on being the country star or the rock star and all these things, and how anytime anybody goes in to be these, or what's his name, the guy who was in Bohemian Rhapsody, I'm striking out.
Rami Malek.
Thank you, Rami Malek, who also was amazing. Joaquin Phoenix just brought a depth to it that I enjoyed, and then seeing him in the Joker, which is just consistent. Like, he just keeps bringing the work, and like I said, there's a lot of other actors who do that, but he's the one I've seen the most. And he was on top of the list, and I of course I went in and I was like, damn it, he's to me it's a cliche because it's like Academy Award, got his Oscar, but he's good.
Oh no, oh dude, I mean, all the way back in Gladiator, I remember him.
Yes, how could you
you like hated him, but you couldn't look away from him. I remember that. Like, he was that guy.
Of course, in Gladiator. And, yes, that's exactly. I mean, he's just got this body of work.
Did you see The Master as well, by chance, with Philip Seymour Hoffman?
No, I know which one you're talking about.
But he plays like a cult. There's like a cult going on, and Joaquin Phoenix's character joins it. It's fascinating, dude. He's in it. You don't worry about if he's won an Oscar or not. That's an excellent choice. Dude. And he continues to kill it, man. Oh, Her? Do you remember that movie? I could talk about him all day.
Yeah.
Her was fantastic.
Exactly. And that's, I guess that's why, I don't know. The Oscars to me has become a little wonky.
Sure.
But
sure.
Still, I was like, yeah, well, you're right. I can't argue with this one. It was, he's to me one of the greats. Now, let me get somebody who walked, because the thing is, my list, I could not go definitive. If I had to make a choice right now, if I had to make the choice, I would have to put Joaquin Phoenix up there. But somebody who, I remember seeing this guy a long time. Do you remember the show Friday Night Lights?
Oh, vaguely. A little bit. You'll have to remind me.
There was this dude who I saw on Friday Night Lights, right? And then I just kind of haven't. He's been, even shows up throughout movies, doing his work, and then he shows up in Black Panther as the antagonist.
Oh,
Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, yes.
You know who I'm talking about?
Also in Creed, of course.
In Creed, exactly. He goes.
Yes.
Remember, he carried Creed. Damn it, him and Sylvester Stallone. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan is like the guy that I feel like he went under my radar. But then I rewatched. The thing is, I was really late to the Black Panther party. I didn't see it until almost middle of summer, this year sometime.
Yeah, sure.
And that's when I was like, wait, I've seen that guy in a lot of movies and shows.
Yeah.
And he just keeps bringing the work. And as an antagonist, come on, man. He's just so painful and selfish and raw and open and in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to see how he's grown. Like I didn't even understand how I'd seen him mature. You know what I mean? Like think of him from Creed up until being the antagonist in Black Panther.
He's another one of those. He's one of those actors where it's like when he's a villain, you want him to be good. Yes. Like even though he's clearly bad, it's like you look at him, and you could see yourself following him. Like there's something about him. Yeah, man. That actually Joaquin Phoenix similarly has that. It's like when he's playing a villain, I still like am enraptured by him, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Captivated by him.
That's definitely it. So those are my are my,
so solid.
Those are the ones.
So solid.
Yep. So I cheated and picked two. But if I had to pick one, I had to pick one. So let's move on to our directors. What are we talking director wise?
Yes. So I again wanted to choose. You can choose Steven Spielberg. He's still working. I get it, but like I wanted to choose someone new who's really been impressing me. And again, now is on my radar. And I honestly been blown away. So I chose Ari Aster, who did Hereditary and did Midsommar. Both those horror movies.
Midsommar, the Swedish thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This dude also writes these movies too. So he's like putting out original new content. You know what I mean? I have nothing but respect for this guy. And both his movies, his first movie is Hereditary.
Yeah.
It's horrifying. Like it's truly horrifying.
I haven't even thought of that. I think see, I'm not a big of that genre. I don't watch a lot of those movies.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But I'm thinking, I mean, I remember just seeing the trailer because the thing is, Jeff, you actually, because you're like, hey, this movie Midsommar, it goes on in Sweden, and it's kind of like, do they celebrate that in Norway is what we're talking about. Do they celebrate Midsommar in Norway? Because it's this really weird movie. And I remember seeing stills and watching the trailer, and it does look really gorgeous. I mean, it just looks like somebody who grips it, who has a mastery, a grip of it. Tell me a little bit more about it, Midsommar. How does he make how is it better than let's put it up against The Legend. Let's put it up against The Shining. What happens? How is it different?
Oh man,
or even Hereditary. How is his style
putting
different?
it up against Kubrick? I mean,
yeah. Let's put it up. Let's do it. Let's put him up against Kubrick.
I will say that Ari Aster seems to get really fearless performances out of his actors. I think of Toni Collette in Hereditary, who just she the way I would describe it's like she's not afraid to look messy and not afraid to just like she doesn't feel like she has to put on some facade. If she wants to yell, like she yells. And I actually also see that in Midsommar. Like these actors, they'll get their hands dirty. Also, at least in these two movies so far, he's a master of pacing them. And they're both in the horror genre, but they're both dramas and mysteries too. And as you're figuring out what's going on, they're just masterfully paced along, and then you get the big twist or whatever, the big reveal, and then it's just like it smacks you in the face. He's a new director, dude, but I'm such a fan, and I really can't wait to see what his next movie is.
Well, tell me a little bit, because you said the pacing is, because that's in the genre itself. It's an important gig, isn't it? Pacing.
Yeah.
I mean, because that brings me to something. This is where I was talking to Jeff before we went live, and my director is actually a question, because I kind of went for one of the mainstreamers on this one. Another one of the mainstreamers. Speaking of Joaquin Phoenix and Michael B. Jordan, but my director, I immediately thought of this person, and then it immediately followed up with a question, because I was thinking, okay, what have I seen recently that I can connect to things I've seen before? And I remember specifically two movies. I remember watching Skyfall, James Bond Skyfall. And then I remember just a couple of weeks ago getting my hands on 1917. And I was thinking, did Sam Mendes, did he save James Bond? Do you know about James Bond? Are you involved in the James Bond series?
I didn't watch Skyfall. So unfortunately, I can't speak to this one.
But what I love about, so let me just bring it up then. Sam Mendes, I love.
Please, yes, yeah.
Because, and I wanted to go for, because you could do, there's the guy who directed Parasite, which also was an amazing movie in its own way. I can't even begin to remember his name. Unfortunately, it's because I don't do my research before these streams. But but the thing with Sam Mendes is it's the genre. It's the kind of the Michael Bay rock and roll action, big, everything bigger than real life. However, it's so gritty and real, and maybe it's a little bit what you were talking about, getting your actors to just be nasty and dirty and real. Like seeing Daniel Craig in Skyfall, the way he just he's this very gritty, real, no, not so nonchalant James Bond. Like he's still really good at what he does. He's a James Bond secret agent and all those things, but he's just this machine. You know what I mean? And it's all very mechanical and physical. And then going to 1917, that's about the end of the First World War. It's also one of those movies that the pacing is one thing, and then the way that he kind of moves with the like I feel like he made 1917 as if it were a modern, building by building clear in like Iraq or something, and it's just shot with the respect for the pacing of everything that's going on and everybody doing their job. You're seeing the soldiers do their job. You know what I mean? Everybody's just so well instructed, and even the guy what's his name who played Ron Weasley? He's in the movie.
Oh man, why am I blanking?
I'm gonna Google him.
I'm getting old.
I'm gonna Google him. His name is. I was gonna say. What's his name? It's Rupert Grint.
Oh, Rupert Grint. Oh, I thought of it.
It's funny because I was gonna call him Grindelwald, but that's not right. That's fantastic.
Grindelwald. That's another movie.
Yes. And the thing is, just the way everybody is been paced. You know what I mean? Everybody's doing their work. They're being the soldiers. They know their equipment. They know their tactics. They know the ways of being. And even when they're running for their lives in fear, they're beautiful. There's this aesthetic behind the violence, I guess.
Yeah.
That you can see in both in Skyfall and in 1917, and that's what I like about Sam Mendes, because I like me a good action flick, you know what I mean? And they get crazy. Like speaking of Black Panther, which is a Marvel movie? I don't know about Marvel and DC. It's Marvel.
It's Marvel,
which is like
Marvel.
Miles over the top, and I actually watched the new Mulan movie, the live action Mulan film.
How was that? I haven't seen that.
It was interesting. It was different from the Disney Mulan for sure, but it was kind of like it reminded me. It had that very kind of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon thing where somebody would suddenly jump up in the air and kick a spear and kill somebody with it and stuff.
Amazing.
And it's like that way over the top stuff, but bringing it down to something that you could actually kind of believe. That I feel is Mendes' thing, just forcing it into that frame, scene by scene. You know what I mean? And it's a masterful way of making movies, making action films.
Yeah, man.
Anyway,
and dude, talk about range too. He did American Beauty.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
He did,
dude. But he's done. I mean, shoot, man. I could look it up. I think he did Road to Perdition too with Tom Hanks, if you remember that. But those are the only ones I know off the top of my head.
I'm gonna IMDb Sam Mendes because that's what one does on a Sunday night.
This is why we're here.
You ready?
Okay.
We have 1917, obviously. Skyfall, Road to Perdition. That's right. Revolutionary Road. It says producer.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
I think was in that. Yeah.
Yep. Kate Winslet and DiCaprio. And then what do we got here?
That's right.
Director, producer. He did Penny Dreadful. The show, obviously. Director, 12 directing credits. He only has 12 directing credits on IMDb, people. Jarhead, obviously. That's the movie where nothing. It's the scariest movie I've watched in like 10 years. I remember watching it way back, and it's just nothing happens. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah. And yes, he did American Beauty. He did the TV movie of Cabaret. In 93. It says according to IMDb, in 1993, he did the TV movie of Cabaret.
Yeah. I mean, range. We're talking range here.
That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about.
That's cool.
Okay.
That's really cool.
So speaking of
great choice.
Yes.
Great choice.
And he did Spectre, obviously. I didn't know that either. He did Spectre in 2015, which is another James Bond movie, which I love.
Yeah.
So there's that. You learn something new every day. And then now I just learned that I like Sam Mendes even more than I thought I liked him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's excellent.
So Jeff, the movies that made us. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think, and that was a very hard transition. That was a bad segue, but to a very good point.
It's not at all.
The movies that made us, because, going back to Jarhead, for instance, and American Beauty. Yeah. Not that I wanted to be Kevin Spacey, who was in love with teenage girls when I was, in 2005.
No.
Movies that made us. What do you have any distinct, specific memories? Is anything coming up for you right now?
Dude, and I know we'll relate on at least one, and so I'm gonna just name drop it first. But Hook with Robin Williams. Yes! I mean, I just want to quickly talk about how, so not only is Robin Williams top of his game, and he's just being a kid, he's being silly, and he's present, he's just fantastic. Dustin Hoffman is also at the top of his game, being hilarious, playing the villain,
Yes.
Bob Hoskins, again, everyone is just like top of the Julia Roberts. Yes. Everyone is just like playing their part perfectly. And then you also are at this time of movies when they built huge sets that were practical. And I remember as a kid seeing Neverland, seeing the pirate boat, and my mind just falling out of my skull. Like it was the coolest thing ever. And it definitely like made me think that like, oh, acting is like playing and like being on that ship and like pretending to be a pirate. What is this career? Like, what is that? Like, and I have such vivid memories of like Hook, like just grabbing me and just being like, this, you could do this. Like, look at how much fun this is.
Oh,
that's definitely one of them.
That is so pure. You know that? I just can't even. That is just so pure. That's the only word I have for it.
Yeah, man.
That is beautiful, because if it's one movie and that explains how I know you now has deepened by like 7 levels after I know that that's the movie. So much.
That it's Hook, of course.
Yes. I'm like, all these things, man, make so much sense now. And that's amazing. Yeah. Hook is such a damn good movie. If you haven't, anybody listening right now, if you haven't, Hook, go watch it. Go find it. It's on Netflix. It's on Amazon. It's everywhere. And you just need to watch it. All right?
Yeah. So much fun. So much fun. And yeah, dude. How about you? Do you have one that sticks out? Or we can talk about a few if you want.
It's funny. Actually, it's funny because I'm really glad that these 2 questions we have coming up are posted back to back, because speaking of Benicio Del Toro, all right?
The man.
Yeah. The thing is, I had 2, and actually both of the actors we're going to talk about during the series or this evening. I mean, I'm sorry, the series are a big thing. So first, I watched a little film called Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas far before I was old enough to watch movies about Fear and Loathing, things like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. But seeing the way Johnny Depp and Benicio Del Toro just tear through characters. All right. And this is before I even knew, who Hunter S. Thompson, who he was, or what the hell who the hell his attorney was, what they were even doing. I just remember seeing that movie and thinking, they're just bleeding. They're just out there bleeding, and it's hilarious. You know what I mean? It's this beautiful, it's this brazen, bold, immediate thing. And I was like, what is this acting? You know what I mean? Especially with movies. Cause then I was still at a point where theater was like, you need to stand in the right spot and say the words loud enough so the audience can hear you. But I saw that movie and I was like, shit, this is what it can be. It can be this gritty, disgusting, beautiful spectacle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And I think
like you can break the rules. To tell the story.
Oh yeah.
Because like by all accounts, like Johnny Depp is probably being too big, whatever you want to call it. But like, because the director, who's Terry Gilliam, if I remember correctly, is such an eye for making everything work. Like, close-ups on Johnny Depp's face, that would be, you consider that weird, but like it works.
Yeah, but the thing is though, it's deliberate. It has this deliberacy about it. You know what I mean? Like, cause you see Johnny Depp later in Pirates of the Caribbean, for instance, where he carries his own character, obviously, but it's just not, it has this distance to it. You know what I mean? It has this, let's go Brechtian and say Verfremdung effect. You know what I mean? Where he's kind of like, he has a little bit of a V effect going because he knows he's a pirate. You know what I mean? While when he does, and then the more obviously when I read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and then I started watching interviews with Hunter S. Thompson and finding out about the relationship between him and Johnny Depp, I was like, man, this guy did his work. You know what I mean? He just took like the demons and dogs that lived inside Thompson and just put them in front of this, put them on screen. You know what I mean? And then you got Benicio Del Toro, who is like, I like to think of him as in that movie as the friend. What do they say? What's the saying? A good friend is someone who you could tell about a murder, and your best friend is someone who'll help you hide the body. You know, and Benicio Del Toro as the attorney just does both. You know what I mean? While at the same time being on his own agenda. It's like he's in a different movie. He's in a different. You know what I mean? He's so true. He's in his own planet. I just love it. And then the second thing that really did it to me was The Matrix. 2001. I watched The Matrix, and I remember it was the first movie I watched that I did not understand. I could not understand how someone could make a movie so thoroughly well and with that much money and with this much effort put into it, and I just didn't get it. Like I had to watch it again. I remember my best friend brought it over on VHS, you know, on a videotape. And I watched it with him. He's like, you got to watch this movie, man. The Matrix. It's a great movie. And I was like, yeah, it's a cool movie. But it just made me feel uncomfortable. And every single time I watched, because I watched it again, and that's when I started falling. I'm like, wait a minute. This is it. And it's Keanu Reeves. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just making, and once again, it's this technical thing for me. It's like they're doing things with movies that people haven't done before with movies on that scale, in that way. And they're pushing the envelope comfortably. They're not uncomfortable. They're just in it, doing the work. And they're you know, at one moment, he's acting to a ping pong ball, and the next moment he's next to his partner. What's her name? Damn, I gotta find.
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Thank you, Carrie-Anne Moss. And they're just having this beautiful scene together. Is it a little intense? Yeah. Yes, you know, at times. But it was one of those movies where I was like, you can make movies like that. So those two, you know, hit me up early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, and I was in. I was like, okay, I'm no longer going to be a psychologist or a rock star. I'm going to be an actor.
Dude, Matrix is such a good choice. I wish I thought of that, because my other choice I wanted to say, I also there's parallels between why I also like The Matrix, because I like it for all the reasons you just said. But the other thing is that, like, when you liked The Matrix and when you got into the lore of it, you could talk for hours with your buds about it. Yeah. And getting into all that is something also found in Star Wars, which how could I not mention Star Wars? But so the original trilogy for me, I remember I loved them as a kid. And then, like, I remember I moved when I was like in 4th grade. So I didn't know anyone at this new school. And I was having trouble like finding friends. But as soon as I found like some of my peers who liked Star Wars, and I liked Star Wars, and we liked it at the same level, suddenly we had infinite things to talk about. We can
be friends.
And I tie that back to, there's like a seed of that in, like, you can dive into any movie that far, or you could write your own backstory if you're making a character.
Yes.
And I just see parallels of like my learning the lore of a movie with like learning the lore of a play nowadays. And that's a big, big thing.
And that might even be, you know, come to think of it, that might be why we chose this direction. You know, I want to know why. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I always want to know why. It's just, and then that's why I think I ended up acting and not, you know, like a mathematician, because I always asked my math teacher why. You know, he says 2 + 2 = 4. I say, why? You know what I mean?
And he says it does. And you're like, no, but like if there's 2, and then like they're not exactly 2 in real life, right?
He'd be like, you're disappointing me, math teacher. You're not bringing it. You're not bringing it today. I need to know why. And these why movies, I guess, seem to have inspired both of us to become actors.
Yeah, these fantasy movies. I would say Fear and Loathing kind of has an element of fantasy too, for sure. But it's those ones that spark the imagination. I think I'm hearing that in both of our choices here.
That's interesting. That's real interesting. And how are we? This is something we may or may not ever find out. But how are we different from someone who, let's say, you know, fell in love with acting through going to Broadway plays their whole life, or you know what I mean, being in theater since they were 4, or I don't know, but you know what I mean, how it would be different, because I do definitely feel like my approach is different. You know, it's different.
Yeah,
it's just different.
I think I always try and have fun with everything I do, even if it's a hard piece.
Yeah.
We talk about play a lot, and again, I think about these movies that, like, why did I start this? And everyone just seemed to always be playing.
Yeah.
And I think that's stuck with me into my adult life.
There you have it.
But yeah, man, you got to listen when you're raising kids. You got to choose what movies you show them with care, because it will affect them.
Yes, it will. It will. If they are going to be you need to show them Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Star Wars, and The Matrix.
Yeah, I agree.
Just get that out of the way. Just
well-rounded.
Get out of the way. I was gonna let me see. I think something popped up here, Jeff. Let me just please, everyone, be a little patient with us for a second, because
totally.
I believe something is has just popped up. Hold on here. Yep, something has definitely popped up. Let's see. Somebody has showed up in our hold on. Somebody has showed up in our feed here in our
incredible.
So we need to just make sure we got this person with us. Just make sure this person is with us. Hold on. I'm trying to get it right. Let me make sure that everything's
the person
working.
Who's trying. We see you. We're just.
Oh, I see. You're
figuring this out. This is the challenges of a live
challenges
podcast,
of working out live. Just please hang in there, hang tight. Everything will be good. We will get there, I promise. Hold on. Let me try to click on this little thing here.
Yeah.
And nope, that didn't work. Hold. What do we say? Hold for sound, people.
Hold for sound.
Hold for sound. Hold for image. Hold for picture. There we go. Oh, I think we're getting there. I think we're close. I think we are close. Okay, here we go. Hold on. I got to choose, because I think we should shift to the correct. There we go. And then, of course, naturally. Oh, my goodness. Now everything went all black on us. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We're having a little technical difficulties here. But this is going to be easy. We got to get Jeff up. You got to come back, Jeff. You got to come back.
I'm seeing it now. I took a look at our stream.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay.
I've disappeared.
Oh, here you are. Here's the person.
But I'm here.
There you are. And hold on. There's the person. Hey, welcome to the podcast live stream. Craft Evolved. We have been graced with Benicio Del Toro, ladies and gentlemen.
Man,
there's so many of them. Look at how many Benicios we have.
Oh man,
we have Benicio Del Toro coming out the wazoo. Hey, Benicio, welcome. Don't point that at me, sir.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to see you. Now listen, let me ask you a question, Benicio Del Toro. This is going to be like Clint Eastwood having the debate against an empty chair.
Yeah.
What is it that makes us love you so much, Benicio Del Toro? Can you tell us about that? Oh, okay, man. So he says he's going to let us answer that ourselves. Isn't that nice of him?
Dude, he's a kind soul.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Very kind
soul. Look at how many different, look at the guy.
Range is the first thing that comes to mind, just looking at these slew of pictures here. If anyone's just listening, we brought up a bunch of pictures of Benicio here from throughout the years. And he could be anything. He could be the heartthrob, he could be the villain, he could be the criminal mastermind, or the sympathetic hero. Like this dude has such range.
Yes, he does.
It's really cool.
He does.
It's really cool.
For sure. That's one maybe if we were going to, all right, if anything was going to be like the one word that we bring to why we love Benicio Del Toro, I believe range would be the thing.
Dude, I agree.
It would.
And in fact, I wanted to bring this up to you. I don't think I've ever told you this, because we both talked about how we love Benicio, but like, randomly he'll be in something and I won't know it's him.
Yeah.
Like until like a little bit later. And do you know what came to mind?
No.
Do you remember he was in Sin City and he plays, it's Jackie Boys, the character. and he's the one who I think he gets killed. Actually, he gets shot, and there's a piece of gun sticking in his head, and he's dead. And then he starts talking because the other guy's hallucinating.
That's right.
But like, I saw the movie. I remember that character was fascinating, and it was like years later. I was like, wait, that was Benicio Del Toro the whole time. Like
Sin City.
Who is this guy that he can just melt into these roles? And you don't just think like, oh, if I see Brad Pitt, I see Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt's fantastic. But Benicio, I didn't even know it was him. He was just so melted into that role, man.
There you go.
It was amazing.
It was just,
yeah.
You see, you just brought it up to me, and I wouldn't even have thought about it ever. And apparently, I'm just seeing an image right here, but I think you're seeing the same thing as me. Is that Benicio Del Toro in the one Lazenby James Bond movie?
Dude, it is. It actually is.
Because that looks a lot like Benicio Del Toro. Is that actually him?
Yeah. I'm on his IMDb, and I'm scrolling down. Yeah. License to Kill.
No, get the hell out of here.
License to Kill.
He is. Benicio Del Toro, you chameleon, you.
Amazing.
He was in License to Kill. You see, I'm really glad I found that picture while you were talking about his little the whole story about Sin City, because he was in James Bond.
Yeah.
Did anybody know that?
I didn't even know.
Nope, I did not know that either. Christ, what an actor! What a human being.
Yeah.
Ah, Benicio. Look at him. Here you go. Look at him. Here he's kind of like Silver Foxy. Now they're all behind your head now, Jeff. Hold on. Let me try to move your head a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Move your head close to mine here. So our heads are a little closer to each other so that we can view content together. There we go. See? Look at that. I mean.
There we go. I see it. Yeah, man.
That's Benicio Del Toro. Like, this is the thing. This is Benicio Del Toro, okay? This is Benicio Del Toro, okay? Wait for it. There he is. That's Benicio Del Toro. He's Che Guevara in that one.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
There's Benicio Del Toro. What is it? That doesn't even look like the man.
I know. It's wild.
I can't. I mean, we need to learn whatever Benicio Del Toro has. We need to learn it and bring it to ourselves.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I was thinking about he's also in The Last Jedi. I don't know if you saw that latest Star Wars, but he's the code breaker, or sorry, he's the guy they choose because they can't use the code breaker. He's like that scoundrel guy.
Damn.
But do you remember he has that character choice he makes, which is the snake, the stutter that's very fast.
Yeah.
Do you happen to remember that? Like, I only bring that up because like it seems like he makes strong character choices and then commits to them so fully. And I don't know if I would love to pick his brain on it. Like, does he like spend a lot of time, like for that role in particular, just practicing that stutter so that when he does it on set, it's just second nature, or did he wing it on set and they liked it? I just would love to know how he thinks of little things like that, because I think that's what makes him almost hard to recognize at times.
That could be it. It's just like breathing.
Yeah,
that could be it. And speaking of being in character, on set and practicing off set, you hear where I'm going with this, Jeff? You see where I'm going with this?
Another great transfer. If one thing I've learned from these podcasts is that you can transfer from subject to subject with ease. That was amazing. I see where you're going.
Speaking of practicing your character off set, the next question, we're going to have to thank Benicio Del Toro for coming by. Thank you very, very much for stopping by and showing us the many facets of who you are. We wish
much love
to someday even be able to touch the greatness that is your ability to just be an amazing actor.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, is staying in character at all times genius, or are you just an asshole? Let's bring that a little bit.
I mean, this is the topic of the day, man. It's
the big one. We should have some sort of bell or whistle or something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Benicio and put him away now because he's looking at me all funny. All right.
Well, how about this? I'll throw some thoughts your way, and then I want you to talk about what you think. But like, when I think about these actors who do this and it's a negative thing, I think of like the famous one, and I love this man. I love him so much. But is Jim Carrey doing Andy Kaufman? And when you watch that documentary, which is Jim and Andy
Yeah.
on Netflix, the making of him doing Man on the Moon. He's just he's temperamental, he's mean, he's violent, he won't listen at times. The director will be like, I need to talk to Jim, and then Jim Carrey will be like, Jim's not here.
Yeah.
And there's even times when Jim Carrey will talk about in this documentary where he's like, there were times when I like knew it was like, should I just like stop this? But he's like, no, but if I stop it, then have I broken it? So I should just keep going with it. And the thing is that like I want to respect that dedication to the craft, but then like making a movie is hard enough already. There are so many pieces that have to go right. There's so many boom technicians and all this like stuff that isn't you and your process. And so I remember watching that documentary and I was just like, dude, what a nightmare. Like I'm almost inclined to say like, I don't care how good you think you are or how good you think the final product will be. It's like, is it worth it? Like, the other famous one, and this one blew up in all the headlines when Suicide Squad came out, but was Jared Leto mailing things to his co-stars. Oh, this was all over the internet. You know what I mean? And I'm sure some of them are exaggerated and whatever, but the truth is like, do you need to weird out your co-stars because you're playing a villain? Like, and then I will say, and the last one I'll say, but this is, I think is maybe a positive experience. I think of Daniel Day-Lewis simply asking people when he played Lincoln to just call him Lincoln. That like, and I don't think it was any more heavy than that. Offset, but like he wanted something that would keep him in character and keep him in that mindset while he was shooting. It takes anyways, what are your thoughts on all that? I want to throw those examples your way.
If you've studied, well, here's the thing: if one has studied method acting of any sort, or even basic Stanislavski, you've worked on analysis and improv, right?
Oh yeah.
How you would improv a scene. Let's say you want to be I would like to do something called a character private moment, right? I'll do those for myself a lot. When I do work, I'll do a lot of character private moments. I'll sit around as my character and do things. Just basically try to create my space and find my bubble in my space. I think it's when one starts to expect that others are involved in that. You know what I mean? And maybe is it faulty training? Is it insecurity in the role? Is it the need for it to be this one great role where you do it? You know what I mean, for real. But I think that the seed of this, I'm not going to call it a bad habit or an illness or anything, because people are entitled to their process. But the seed to this is the whole idea that you get closer to your character through working and reacting as your character. But it's when you're no longer doing it in the safe space and under the rules that are the improv or the moment or the session or even the play or the day on set, when you're no longer within those rules, then it's really hard to, I don't understand why one would need to do that. You know what I mean? And then I'm speaking once again from personal experience. Like I could even ask if I feel comfortable with my partners or my scene partners, whoever I'm working with. Can we just improv the scene, or can we just improv a prior circumstance? How did we meet? Let's see what you want to play with that. You know what I mean? But I've never really thought that I'd have to be in it all the time to do a good job. You know what I mean? To do the work properly. So I think in a very much so, it's because now not being an expert on Strasberg, I've read his book and, we've worked on Strasberg's method, but I don't remember anywhere seeing the fact that you have to be in character all the time. You know what I mean? The closest I get is Stanislavski saying that, you play all the characters. They are you. You know what I mean? It's not like you take your soul out of your body and someone else's soul enters your body. You're not possessed by a different soul when you act. It's you in some iteration. And to me, that's like, well, isn't it quite shameful if I was to send feces to my co-stars in the mail in character? Because it comes from me. It comes from me as an actor. You know what I mean? I thought of this. My character didn't think of this. I did. You know what I mean? And no matter how much you get into this trance, perhaps that is your character, how much you feel in the flow, it's still a facet of you. So I think I just answered my own question. My opinion is, yes, you are being an asshole.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, oh man, dude. I also think of Heath Ledger, legendary for a while, legendarily after he passed. People were like, "Oh my God, it was the role that killed him. He took it too far." But I think in years since, it's kind of come out when you read interviews with his family and some of his co-stars. These are online. I've read. It sounds like he did his work at home, and he did lock himself away and work on the voice and had a journal and all that stuff. But when he was on set, his co-stars have said he would be the Joker, and then cameras were off, and he'd be like, "Hey man, so like, how's the weekend going?"
Yeah.
Like he would actually like, there wasn't this, I'm going to be this villain now in real life. It's kind of fascinating how I think you see a great performance, you hear the word method acting, and there's a collective consciousness of what that means. And people then take that to mean, oh, if I want to reach the levels that person did, I must go to the extreme. I must do the same thing in a way, or maybe even take it further. And I don't think that is necessarily the case. And I think that you can unintentionally maybe hurt your own reputation, or maybe even hurt the project, because there can be a lack of professionalism sometimes with that.
Completely agree with what you just said. Completely. And it's interesting that you mentioned Heath Ledger, because no, it's not quite time to segue yet. I feel we're still on this thing, but we are definitely moving into the next point, which is, does being sad and tortured in real life make you a better actor? Right?
Yeah.
I remember once, and this is someone who might even be watching this either live or on demand, so if you remember the situation, don't feel personally attacked. I won't mention your name. But I remember being asked for advice because they were going to portray a role as a homeless person, and they asked how long it was a good idea to sleep outside in the streets. Because me, being a method actor and having studying and working on it, and this my kind of way of being, they were like, "Oh, what's your advice on that?" And I was like, "Don't sleep outside." You know what I mean? Don't do that to yourself. Why would you do that to yourself? You've been outside long enough to understand that it sucks to sleep outside. You've been uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Why would you personally put yourself at such risk? And maybe that's why you and I aren't there with Oscars in our hands. Maybe we're completely wrong. I will admit that. But the point is,
sure.
I do firmly not believe that you have to do that. You know what I mean? Like you said, Heath Ledger, other actors who have their process. They do their work. You know what I mean? And they go in it to win it, and they do it, and then the cameras are off, and they wash it off, and they say, "Well, that was cool. Let's go have dinner." Yeah. That's to me is the job. That's the work. Right? I mean, that's your job. You go in there and you bring it, and then you're done.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not as romantic, right? Maybe it's not as quirky or magical, maybe as one would think. He goes in and he gets into it, and then it becomes magic and amazing. But I honestly don't believe that I would be. I'm looking back on the roles I've done and the things that I can at least remember that I really have had to dig into. I don't ever remember, thinking, oh, this would be better if I actually hired a hooker and choked her. Speaking of not like a play in specific play. You know what I mean?
Sure. Sure. Yeah, man. I was going to say it's kind of a bummer in a way, because like, I feel like the impetus to do that comes out of respect for the craft of acting. Like, it actually comes from like an earnest place where it's like, I know what good work is. I want to get myself to that point, and I will do anything to get there. I would be like, bravo. Yeah. I appreciate that you do that, and you should in a safe way. But it's like, it's almost like everything in life. Like, if it's ever taken to the extreme, then it can go too far, and you can, you could put yourself in a dangerous position.
For sure. It's not,
I would never recommend living homeless to learn what it is to be homeless.
No, not. I mean, not at least not for your own, even for your own sake or for your role's sake. I mean, if you're doing it for documentary, or if you're doing it for greater good, when it comes, you know what I mean. Like if you actually have to,
or if you're Bear Grylls,
you should live in the woods all the time.
Living out in the woods,
exactly. But I mean, there's a limit, and why hurting yourself or others in that for that matter. To me, it's over I've passed my limit. You know what I mean? Like I won't do it, and I know you won't do it. And that's it. Because also another thing is we talk about these very famous actors, Jared Leto, and they're going to get hired again. Usually, I mean, you know, I mean, it's their face. They're huge. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if you have a movie where you see that this can only be played by this specific star for it to be the right movie, then it's going to happen. You're going to get the job. That's the way it's going to be. And I'm sure there's more involved, more politics involved, and there are more things involved. But bottom line is, we do that, or at least that, you know what I mean? Then we're not going back to work there unless we're amazing, unless we magically appear. Like I forgot to mention at the beginning how Jeff just did. You were in New York doing some work.
Yeah.
Are you going to get rehired if you show up there in your scene? You know what I mean? And like, okay, I guys, listen, I shaved my head, all right, and I cut one of my eyebrows off, and my leg is bleeding, all right. But you know what I mean? This is what I needed to do the scene. So everybody just sit down, and we're just going to do it. Are you going to go? Are you going to get hired again? You know what I mean? Like, are they going to say, "Oh, that was amazing"? That dude, just, you know what I mean?
So I'll tell you. So, like, I had a very small role on this. I was on a TV show called Bull, and I have one line on it. I have an interaction with the lead or the co-star for that episode in the teaser at the beginning. Great. It was a lot of fun. It was amazing.
Congrats. Well done. Thank heavens you're working. Distant.
Yes. Oh my God, dude. Absolutely. But I'll tell you this, and I think this is something that you learn the more you do this, because I've noticed it, but everyone treats it like a job and treats it like a machine in a good way, though. The director has everything scheduled out and an allotted amount of time to get the close-ups, an allotted amount of time to get the wides.
Yep.
If little old Jeff strolls in there saying, I'm playing an EMT worker, which is what I was playing, or EMT technician, and I'm going to move around with such fervor because my character moves around in such fervor, and I'm going to be on at 11 all the time.
Yeah.
They would be like, wow, we are not working with you anymore.
Exactly.
Like because there's an element of oh God, am I about to make a segue too? An element of just being nice and being personable that makes people want to work with you. Like I learned, like when I was on set there, and I was very lucky, and this just is a testament to the team at Bull. They all knew my name the day of. Like the PA had learned it, the director had learned it, and I was such a small role.
Yep.
But like they took the time to like build that kind of set. You know what I mean?
And then when you show up there, you do your work, and everybody's happy. Everybody's just working. That's how.
And if I'm nice and I know my lines and I know my marks, it moves like clockwork, and we move through this, and everyone goes home happy, and we get a great scene out
exactly.
of it, you know? So it's man, I cannot imagine a world where you letting your process get in the way of all these other craftsmen, because they are the sound design, the sound guys are the craftsmen, the directors are craftsmen. That's going to make a better product. And I'd love to revisit this in 10 years, maybe this question, but it's like right now, I truly think it's like, dude, everyone's there to do a job, including you.
Just do it
and do your job.
Just
do it.
Do it. You know, speaking
just
of
do
that,
the mighty Shia.
And you
just do
the mighty Shia. And you did transition us quite well, Jeff. That was really, really good. Because what is it about? Being a decent coworker, right? And just a good human being, a somewhat righteous human being. Now, I like it. The bullet point that you wrote down is a really nice thing, and we might even clock it as some sort of mantra, or not a mantra, but like a sentence. The Keanu Reeves effect. You want to talk a little bit about the Keanu Reeves effect?
I would love to, because I feel like I've coined this.
Yes.
all I meant by it was Keanu Reeves has been working, oh my God, over 25, 30 years now,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
He's been working since the
Yep.
80s. Continuously gets hired and has a reputation throughout Hollywood. And now it's permeated its way into meme
Oh
culture for
yeah.
sure,
Oh yeah.
of just being nice, of just being a friendly dude.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, if you watch him on Stephen Colbert or any of those other interview shows, you can see it. You can just see that he just is a friendly dude.
Yeah.
He and he wants to talk to whoever's right in front of him. He's not trying to build himself up or anything.
Nope.
He's just a pleasant dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also thinking I love Keanu Reeves. I want to just say this up front, but there's this joke about him being a wooden actor, like especially maybe in the 90s. Like he kind of just was,
Yeah.
like everyone's like, yo, I know Kung Fu, like that's the big joke.
Yeah,
You know what I
that is,
mean?
yeah, for sure.
I actually think he's really
Mm-hmm.
talented, but I'm just saying it's like, no matter what your talent is, if you are pleasant to work with,
Mm-hmm.
I think that will further you in your career.
Yeah.
And I thought of Keanu Reeves and have dubbed it the
Definitely.
Keanu Reeves effect.
The Keanu Reeves effect. I like it because it's also another thing where Keanu Reeves could be because especially he kind of did get rebranded through that, didn't he? Because he went, through the Matrix into the John Wick and all those, he went through that. But like, I don't know. It's he could have easily just dropped off the map after his kind of 80s or 90s phase. You know what I mean? Before the Matrix happened.
Absolutely.
It could have been somebody else, and then it was him. And I think it's true. Like just being a good person in general helps the movie. I can't even imagine. Like imagine making the Matrix. All those Matrix movies. And having to be on set every day with Keanu Reeves, if he was he was a douchebag.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fun at all. No,
and this guy's like, how much fun must it be to be like in these action scenes where walls are exploding and you're picking up guns with blanks in them and you're doing your fight choreo and all these things? How much more fun is that when you're a cool person? When
so
you're
true.
normal, you know what I mean? Like when you're not moody or like, I don't I don't want to cast stones, but to hear, how bugged Christian Bale got about wearing you remember the Batman costume that gave him such a bad headache that made him, really, really ran him off the edge. And I feel so bad because it's like, that must make it so much shittier for everyone. And I know that he knows. I know, like, he's an actor. He's a pretty damn good actor too.
Oh,
but like, so he knows there's empathy there. But you know what I mean? To know that you're just, all the air has been taken out of the room and it was me. And you're on a set where everybody's supposed to make something creatively gorgeous, you know what I mean, happen. Yeah. And I think, like you said, be more like Keanu Reeves, man. When in doubt,
isn't that the lesson?
Yes, the Keanu Reeves effect. Just be a little more like what you got to think. What would Keanu Reeves do in this situation? All right, and I think for us, like, because I know personally that I, or at least I, you feel personally like the kind of person it's okay to work with on set, and I know that you are because I've worked with you on set. But how? Like, just if you stop, if there's a moment where you're like, I'm over the edge now, something's going to get wonky, I'm going to start yelling or something, just stop and breathe and think, what would Keanu Reeves do in this situation?
Yep. Let's make bracelets.
All right. Yes.
What would Keanu Reeves do?
What would Keanu Reeves do? Bracelets.
Yeah, man.
Because
don't these all kind of tie together with remembering, and I think about what we were talking about with, we're staying in character all the time to make a better product. There's an element of, with all of this, of remembering you are just a cog in this thing that you're trying to build. You know what I mean? And I mean that in such a good way, because everyone is a master of their craft when you step on that set. Like, they've been doing it for years. These aren't just random people off the street. Like, everyone is doing their part. And that includes you as the actor, even though it's your face on the screen. If someone edits you poorly, like, what are you going to look like? You're not going to look good, you know? So
it's not going to be good.
I think we're having that humble attitude and approaching it with kindness. I think that's why someone like Keanu Reeves gets hired
Yeah.
all the time, or other actors too. And why when I have ever, and I'm very rarely in casting situations, but when I am and I'm thinking, who do I want to work with? I think about people who were fun to work with,
Yeah.
people who are nice.
Yeah. Who were cool
Yeah.
on the day and who were just cool. And to me, I have a high level of respect for people who know the craft so well that we'll be having a conversation like we are just now. And then they say action and boom, we're in it. We're in the scene. We're doing something. We're making sparks fly. Things are going crazy. Things are happening. And they say cut. And then we're just drinking coffee again 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for that level of craftsmanship. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You nailed it.
To where I would definitely, I will aspire to do it. Like I'll still do it. I'll secretly prep in the bathroom. You know what I mean? I bet you a lot of people all still do. But when I walk into that room, I want to be the cool cat. I want to be me and be easy. And you know what I mean? Just be in it with everybody and get things done. And then as soon as they say action, then that's when we work. That's our turn to work.
Nailed it.
You know?
Yeah. Dude. Oh, and I know we're wrapping up at the end of the podcast, but I did want to touch on that one point, which is, do you think then, as our job as actors, does the pain that we feel make us a better actor, or do we have to be tortured to be better, or is it better to have your life together, like Bradley Cooper said? And that's the last. Then we can close it out for the day. But I did want to touch on that before we go.
It says, "Don't be a jerk, and you will work." So. I think that
be a jerk and you will work.
I think that really ties into it because think of it.
Yeah.
I think of it this way: everybody, you go to work, right? Anywhere, your survival job. If you weld cars, if you are work in a kindergarten, or if you're an astronaut, whatever, you go to work, and not being on your game, on top of your game, always has a consequence. Right? So if you leave your house and there was this huge argument and your car broke down and your coffee spilled all over your crotch, you know what I mean? And the lady in front of you in line, let it rip before, whatever, you know what I mean? Just, it was bad.
Which happens.
Yeah, right? It's not gonna, you're not gonna do, no matter how good of, you are at anything, even acting or whatever, you show up and it's going to stamp you. It's going to turn you into something. You know what I mean? It's going to change how you interact with your colleagues and with your craft, whatever the hell you're doing. You know what I mean? I believe that being tortured and having, I certainly have not done my greatest work in my worst hours. Because what happens, you know what I mean, when I'm in turmoil? I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be very real for a second. When I'm in turmoil, what happens? I don't read my lines. I put it off to the last minute. I have constant thoughts of the fact that this is never going to work. They hired me by mistake. I'm going to show up the first day. I'm going to get fired. All these things just compound into my job they're horrible. And that's just like touching, you know what it is. It's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
But then there's the times when everything's cool, right? When I'm on schedule with my workouts, and the home life is nice and everybody's kind of content, and I have the extra energy and I can go really put myself into this and do my work as a character, and I can show up and know all my words and all my lines. I don't need anything more. You know what I mean? I don't need the torture or the turmoil. It's there because everything else works.
Yeah.
Almost
like because everything is good with friends and your family and in your own personal life, you almost like can allow yourself to go to the darker places in that safe forum, which is the theater, or if it's a movie. There is a certain insecurity when I know I felt it when things aren't going well and I am fighting with if it's family members or if I'm just, I don't know, if I'm in a bad mood. Yeah, that lady ripped one before me in line, and maybe I said something to her. Like, why did I lash out? We all do it. But like that can make you be in a place where you're not ready to go to these hard roles, the darkness. No. And I bring up what Bradley Cooper when he was talking to us at school, and I think about like he's done some heavy roles.
Oh yeah,
and I think only when you have that there's a certain confidence in yourself to tackle those roles
Mm-hmm.
when you are a complete person and you are everything's fine and
Yeah.
your home life is your home life. You can now do this hard stuff
Yes.
at your job.
Yes.
You know?
Because I do,
Yeah.
and to add to that, I believe that this whole element of self-sabotage, that also is
Mm.
maybe it's a myth. It's another, let's go back, method acting, myth busting. Self-sabotage is what it is, honestly. Because
Yeah.
a thing is, this is the thing also, and this might not, once again, I'm talking about things of which I have no idea when it comes to these specific actors on specific sets doing specific roles. But in general, I do sense that it's a bit of a cop out to, kind of be a douchebag all around and stay in your character as a bad person and make drama with your life and people around you, etc. Because what happens if you fail miserably? You can blame the role. You can blame life. You can say, well, my life was turmoil. It didn't come out so good. I tried to go and get into character, but everything was so mean and I was so sad that it just didn't work.
Yeah.
While if you are perfectly content, and this is probably something that I realized it scared me, because I also am a self-saboteur, have always been, and I am aware of it, and therefore
I do it as well. Sure.
Work on it every day. But it's very, very hard to take responsibility, personal responsibility, and say, no, my life was in order. I did the work. I just didn't do it good enough. You know what I mean? It just wasn't right.
So true.
You know what I mean? That's way harder. That's a huge pill to swallow for us when it comes to
being okay with that.
Oh yeah.
And being okay with work that when you look back on it, you could have done better. Instead of thinking, oh, I'm a failure. It's to see it as an opportunity to be like, well, okay, so this didn't go well. So maybe that prep doesn't work. So next time I won't use that prep.
Because it's what is this?
There's a maturity with that, Yeah.
And right underneath your face there, it says craft, a craft. It's not magic. We're not like bringing these secret things out of fog. It's a craft. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have these tools. We use them. Sometimes they work great. Sometimes they don't work so good.
Yeah. It's true, man.
That was a really good ending. I mean, speaking of things that did not go, to hell and back, that felt nice.
I mean, we kind of wrapped it in a nice bow of positivity, of acknowledging what can go wrong, but how very, very much a path forward, and what we think the answer is.
For sure.
Which, I'm not saying I have anything figured out. This is why we're doing the podcast. We're trying to figure it all out.
That's exactly why we're doing a podcast.
But I think, man, the idea of always, we talk about it on the other episodes, always bettering yourself and always moving forward.
Yeah,
that applies to all this too, especially what you just said.
Certainly does. Man. So what do we got here? We have just to sum it, man. The attitude of gratitude. That's one thing.
Yeah.
The Keanu.
If you want to work, don't be a jerk. What was it?
If you want to work,
something
don't
like
be a jerk. The Keanu Reeves effect is another thing.
Yeah.
And owning your work, because self-sabotage becomes an unintentional cop-out.
Yeah.
And that's hard to say because I'm one of those people, but it's true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome. I feel very nice. Jeff, do you feel very nice?
Dude,
how do you like?
I think that was a fine episode.
That was a fine episode. I think so. I mean, we were sitting here in our little bubble saying that we feel, but I feel very good. I think you feel very good. If you're sitting there listening and you feel very good, then you hit the subscribe button so you know every time we do this. We usually try to go up every Sunday. And if you enjoyed it, just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all those YouTube things that YouTube needs. For you to remember that we go up when we go up. We would also special thanks to Benicio Del Toro for
stopping by. What a guy!
Saying hi. What an amazing dude. All right, wherever in the world you may be, I wish you a happy Sunday. Thank you, Jeff. Just
dude,
my man, my brother, for being awesome.
Yes, thank you, dude. Another great episode, and I'm stoked for the rest of the season, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Yeah.
Amen. Everybody, take it easy. We'll see you again
Cool.
very, very soon. Bye-bye, people.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.